The standing in the field and seeing the telephone poles and the wires.
Well, on any project, when you're trying to bring it in, there's many, many months of what we call location scouting, and that's in the very, very beginnings of the project. And I'm working with the director and the producer on that, and we've been traveling Iowa's back roads for months looking for this magical place. And one time, and it was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it was cold, and there were some snow flurries out there, and we would just as soon like to stay in the car, but we came over the top of the hill, and Phil, the director, screamed out, "Stop the car, this is it." And we jumped out, and we wandered all the way through this guy's field. We climbed his fence. Eventually we went up and knocked on his door, and tried to convince him that we were legitimate and we really wanted to make a movie on his farm. But no, we found this place, and it was almost perfect. And the director said, he said, "Wendol, you see those power lines?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Let's lose the lines." So we ended up moving the power lines for this film, and the film company, of course, paid for that expense of rerouting the power for that 250,000 customers, and then moving them back, which they just did about a month ago, back to the original location. But it's things like that that you have to do to create the kind of feeling on the screen that the director wants to communicate to the audience. And we might look and we might think, well, why in the world would you go to all the money in moving power lines? But that needed to be done so it wouldn't distract you when you see the film.
Why are film companies coming to Iowa and to other states?
Well, they're coming for a couple of different reasons. The first lure is they can come here and make a film for less money because there are a lot less expenses and a lot less aggravation to film on location compared to some areas like in the greater Los Angeles area or perhaps New York and that kind of thing. And also the audience, you and I, when we go see films, we have become so highly sophisticated that we're not accepting painted backgrounds anymore, and we don't believe that everything in life happens within Los Angeles. We want to see real locations and real stories. So when they make a film on location, everybody comes out the winner. The audience does, because we can see a picture that is more believable. The director does, because he's able to take his craft to another level of higher integrity for that film. And the areas where they film get the biggest bonus. They get the money from all of that. Because when a film company comes in, they leave two things behind. They leave money and they leave memories.
Has the reaction been wonderfully warm and accepting from the people in the locales where the films have been shot?
Yes, it really has, because we've asked for some very unusual things, and that's characteristic of a film company, and they've accepted that, and they've just loved to be part of the process. For example, with Field of Dreams, we had to plow down a gentleman's corn, actually two farmers, because the ball field is located on two separate farms. We had to take out a fence row, and we had to disrupt their whole planning schedule. We had to level their ground and do all kinds of things, and the people are very tolerant of that. Another example in the film Field of Dreams, you'll see a situation there where Kevin Costner goes to Boston, and in fact a very heavily Jewish area in Boston. Well, that was shot in Dubuque.
Central Street.
Central Street, right. Yes, and Lindy was up there with me.
It's incredible.
And we had to do simple things for that. We had to convert a one-way street into a two-way street. We had to rip up the concrete on the sidewalks and plant trees. We had to repaint all of the buildings. We had to move some of the people out of the shops. We had to put all kinds of signage up.
Fresh fish
In the windows. We had to change all the stoplights. We had to repaint city buses so they were the color of the ones that you find in Boston. We had to lay cable track up so it looked like it was a trolley car. Right. It was just unbelievable. They spent $250,000 on that one scene that you'll see for maybe a minute in the whole film. And that's fine. I do as much money as they want to keep spending here. I'll let them do that. Roger?
I was just going to say, wouldn't it be cheaper in that case, maybe to take the production, part of the production, to Boston for a few days?
Well, as a matter of fact, it's not. Now, they did shoot a couple of days in Boston. There's a couple of scenes that you'll see of Fenway Park and one master shot of the skyline that was taken there. But it is so expensive to make a move like that that it is much less expensive to create the look where they're at if they can.
Now, for Field of Dreams, you had to create a kind of a look with a lot of involving a lot of people from Iowa. I understand that was quite a task to pull off.
Well, I think you're talking about the end shot in the movie. Right. What we had to do was coordinate 1,500 cars, and there were 2 passengers in each car. That's 3,000 people, and we needed to control all those people in those vehicles for about 6 hours.
We had to get 1,500 people, 1,500 cars that will do it, and I can remember getting a panic phone call. You know, we need them by a certain time. This is what we're going to do for them, but we need them. And I can remember doing the rounds at the radio stations in Des Moines, literally calling cars.
And calling all cars. But no, and Lindy's been very, very helpful in situations like that when we need a lot of people. But the coordination of that aspect, which you'll see for, again, seconds on the screen, but it's so tremendously dramatic to the film. We had to have ambulances on board in case someone got hurt. Thank God no one did. We had to have tow trucks in case some of the cars stalled, and we only had 6 stall in 1,500 vehicles. We had to have a gas truck for people that ran out of gas. We had to have walkie-talkie communication. We also communicated to all the drivers through one of the local radio stations there. And there was just a tremendous logistical effort. We worked on that shot for 3.5 months trying to coordinate that thing. And it turned out spectacular. We had like an 18-minute window to get our shot. We had to get 1 shot. We hoped to get 2, and things were so well oiled they actually got 3 shots with a helicopter lifting off the ball field and panning across the cars and going off into infinity, and looking down and seeing all the twinkling lights from the headlights from the cars converging on this location. So we really economized there and got them some good scenes.
It would have been fun to hear you twittering in the audience when the scenes came on, the ones that you'd worked so hard on. And these are all scenes that you can look for when you go to see the movie. We'll be talking more about it and other film projects in Iowa after these messages.
Hi, I'm Ian Scholes, your multi-purpose critic, here once again to talk about movies. Why do movies come to Iowa? To save money. Now, sure, you can put a couple lasers and monsters in front of a camera and convince moviegoers they're in outer space, but if your movie's set in Iowa, it's much easier to go to Iowa than to build Iowa on a soundstage, and that's why I'm here, on location, with Zadar, Cow from Hell. Action!
What's this, Mr. Benson?
Industrial strength styling gel. I had it shipped. You won't find that in Iowa. This scene isn't working. Memo, make scene work.
What's this, Mr. Tension?
Industrial strength iron bond movie glue to attach the cow horns. Memo, get more batteries for personal stereo system.
Zadar, Cow from Hell is unique among movies set in the Midwest in that it does not star Jessica Lange, Sally Field, or Sissy Spacek. Also, it doesn't star Diana Ross, Barbra Streisand, or Cher. Now, the image of Cher in a combine is appealing to me personally, but I don't think America would line up around the block to see it, even with Bob Mackie-designed bib overalls. But is there such a difference between sequins and denim? What is the difference between L.A. and Iowa? I'll tell you a secret, folks. I think Hollywood could save a lot of money if they realized that L.A. and Iowa are essentially the same place. In Iowa, fertilizer makes crops grow. In L.A., money makes movies grow. Iowa has barnyard animals. L.A. has actors.
No, they were real snotty about it, period. You're going T-O-O, you're putting a 2.
No,
it's not about it, too.
Dude, look.
Iowa has silos which store grain. L.A. has movie theaters which store movies. Movies and grain, folks, are the backbone of America. You got a problem with that? If Iowa has tractors, L.A. has cameras, necessary tools in agriculture and cinema. Finally, Iowa has crop-devouring insects. L.A. has producers. I defy you to tell the difference. With me now are a filmmaker from Hollywood, California, and a farmer from Mount Vernon, Iowa. Tell me, do you think that L.A. and Iowa are in fact the same place?
No.
I love the concept. Let's do lunch.
I gotta go.
Hey, aren't you going to buy me lunch?
There was some snow flurries out there, and we would just as soon like to stay in the car, but we came over the top of the hill, and Phil, the director, screamed out, "Stop the car! This is it!" And we jumped out, and we wandered all the way through this guy's field. We climbed his fence. Eventually, we went up and knocked on his door, and tried to convince him that we were legitimate and we really wanted to make a movie on his farm. Well, on any project, when you're trying to bring it in, there's many, many months of what we call location scouting, and that's in the very, very beginnings of the project. And I'm working with the director and the producer on that, and we've been traveling Iowa's back roads for months looking for this magical place. And one time, and it was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it was cold, and
standing in the field and seeing the telephone poles and the wires